जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स। दिस इज आदि अचिंत। आज बांग्लादेश में पहला वोट पड़ चुका है सुबह से। एंड सबको पता है ये इलेक्शन इज वेरी कंटेस्टेड एंड बहुत ही ज्यादा इसके अंदर वायलेंस होने के चांसेस थे। वायलेंस हुई भी है। एंड मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंटली इसके अंदर एक रजीम चेंज ऑपरेशन भी बीच में से चल रहा है। सो लेट्स आस्क समवन हु सिटिंग क्लोजेस्ट टू द एक्शन in our our
बस
very
बस
own
बस
Arindam Mukherjee साहब, who is
नो
an
लोकेशन
analyst।
कीप इट देयर।
बड़े पास हैं और बड़ी नजर रखते हैं बांग्लादेश पे ये। तो लेट्स ट्राई एंड टेक हिज ओपिनियन, क्योंकि ये चीज देखिए, जो भी जोक्स अपार्ट, बांग्लादेश इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया। आपका जितना नॉर्थ ईस्ट का अगला प्रोग्राम बन रहा है, कालादान मल्टीलोडल हाईवे है, दैट डजंट गो थ्रू बांग्लादेश बट इट्स अराउंड दैट रीजन। Your trilateral highway which is going into Myanmar and into Thailand will get affected by this entire region अगर ये destabilize होता है। ऊपर से अभी नेपाल गए थे जयशंकर जी, वहां से नेपाल से बांग्लादेश की कनेक्ट होने की बात हो रही है। देयर इज अ लॉट व्हिच इज हैपनिंग इन दैट रीजन, जिससे आपको भी बहुत फायदा होगा। लेकिन ये अगर रीजन टॉस में जाता है तो आपको पता ही है, सिलीगुड़ी कॉरिडोर यहाँ से बहुत वनरेबल हो जाता है। सो वी नीड टू टॉक अबाउट दिस, वी नीड टू लर्न अबाउट दिस, और हमको इसके ऊपर थोड़ी नजर रखनी पड़ेगी। ऑन दैट नोट, नमस्कार एंड वेलकम टू द शो अरिंदम साहब। नाइस टू हैव यू बैक विद अस।
नमस्कार,
एंड योर
हैप्पी न्यू
योर
ईयर।
सेम टू यू सर। योर एनालिसिस ऑन बांग्लादेश इज अवेटेड। यार हो क्या रहा है, पहले ये बताओ, बिकॉज यू नो लिटरली आयरनी से स्टार्ट करते हैं। एक छोटी सी आयरनी है, जो आयरनी है कि पाकिस्तान को बोलते हैं साहब, ठीक है, इफ यू इट्स एन इंटरनल मैटर ऑफ पाकिस्तान, द इलेक्शंस एंड ऑल दैट, वी आर नॉट वेरी वरीड। एंड सेकंड क्वेश्चन में पूछता, नो नो, बांग्लादेश द इलेक्शंस हैव टू हैपन ऑन टाइम एंड फ्री एंड फेयर।
फ्री एंड फेयर
तो ये
इलेक्शंस।
क्या क्या गेम क्या है? व्हाई इज यूएसए सो इंटरेस्टेड इन बांग्लादेश? सबसे पहले ये बताओ।
देखो, एक तो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स बहुत साल बाद हैज स्टार्टेड टेकिंग इंटरेस्ट इन एनी इलेक्शन व्हिच इज हैपनिंग अराउंड द सबकॉन्टिनेंटल एरिया, इफ यू
जी।
नोटिस्ड। यूएस का नेपाल का इलेक्शन बोलो या श्रीलंका का इलेक्शन बोलो, ये सब में कोई खास दिलचस्पी कभी रहा नहीं। पाकिस्तान इलेक्शन वाज ऑलवेज एन एक्सटेंडेड गेम बिकॉज दे हैड देयर कैट्स पॉ इन द पाकिस्तान आर्मी, तो वो जो करता था उसके ऊपर लाइक अ ब्लैंकेट ग्रीन सिग्नल. This time around, this is the first time after many years that they are taking an active interest, and they are taking an active interest because the fact is Kashmir is settling down. And Kashmir has settled down. I'm not saying कि उसके बाद कश्मीर में अभी एकदम peace and brotherhood, भाईचारा and kumbaya and सब कुछ चलेगा. But Kashmir has settled down to an extent that Kashmir, it'll be very difficult for an external power to create a kind of a situation through Kashmir, a situation, a radical movement as big as something of a kind that can upset the internal security of a country as big as India. तो वो स्केल में नहीं होगा. Would the killing stop? Probably not. कम हो जाएगा. All this stone pelting and all probably कभी बढ़ेंगे, कभी कम हो जाएगा. But the kind of movement that we saw back in the 90s and the 2000s, 80s and the 80s, 90s and the 2000s, early 2000, that kind of a movement कश्मीर में अभी खड़ा करना बहुत मुश्किल है. Bangladesh, on the other hand, is a very different scenario. Bangladesh is for a power like United States that wants to subvert, that wants to use external actors and subvert. Bangladesh is a क्या बोले उसको, virgin territory बोल सकते हो, a kind of a area which has never been exploited. And Bangladesh, even if I for a moment forget about the recent initiative that Indian government is taking as far as those corridors and freight corridors and trade corridors are concerned, तुम geographically भी देखोगे, if you look at the kind of infiltration that has happened back from the 70s and 80s into West Bengal and Assam, Bangladesh, any kind of subversive movement in Bangladesh can quickly spread like a wildfire into Bengal and the Assamese territory. तुम Assamese territory में spread करेंगे तो then you are talking about taking off, I mean destabilizing the entire northeast, chicken neck से शुरू करके वेस्ट बंगाल में स्प्रेड करेंगे तो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट अ वेरी, वेस्ट बंगाल से माओइस्ट कॉरिडोर में कितना एक्सेस है, कितना डिस्टेंस है, ज्यादा नहीं. सो इन द इन डायमेंशनली अगर तुम स्केल के हिसाब से देखो तो you have the entire northeast which has the potential to be destabilized. You have a direct access to the Maoist corridor from West Bengal. So you are talking about a scale of destabilization which is bigger than Kashmir. So that is the reason why there could be a uncle ka interest in Bangladesh. That's point number one. पॉइंट नंबर टू ये भी है कि भाई अभी न्यू ईयर में सबका वाट लगा हुआ है, वाट सबका लगा हुआ है, लगी हुई है, विच वॉज द करेक्ट हिंदी. यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स का वाट लगा हुआ है, रशिया का लगा हुआ है, इसराइल का लगा हुआ है, ईरान का लगा हुआ है, चाइना का लगा हुआ है. एवरीबडी इज स्ट्रेच थिन. सो अंडर सच सिचुएशन, coming back to Bangladesh, what we were discussing just about a couple of minutes ago, what Hasina has done is there was a chance of a coup. She sort of preempted that and she put that one Surawardi, उसको तो उसने साइज कर लिया. तुम बोल रहे थे अभी बाकी और दोनों को भी, दो जनरल था उनको भी उन्होंने साइज कर लिया. So she has managed probably a pre-election coup. She has managed to avert a pre-election coup. Now, there are two things that can happen from here, as per my understanding, if the United States is absolutely desperate. एक तो देखो ये शेख हसीना in all probability is going to win the election because this is a virtually uncontested election. Election commissioner भी बोल रहा है कि 50% people will probably vote, and that too he sounds very optimistic about those 50% people voting. Which goes to say that, and there are a lot of BNP voters जो कि बोल रहे हैं, जो कि हसीना को गाली दे रहे हैं, बोल रहे हैं हम लोग वोट नहीं देंगे, बॉयकॉट करेंगे, and obvious reason this the party has boycotted. So if Hasina wins, and on the other side if PM Modi wins, if BJP wins, then they can make a uncle can make a comeback, and uncle can start needling the separate the pro Pakistani elements in Bangladesh, and then you could be looking at a more serious form of destabilization. And they would have a reason. If you've noticed, Ukraine में जो शुरू हुआ था, that was Yanukovych was a seated government, उसके खिलाफ इसने शुरू किया. So the Maidan riot started in protest of a seated government. That's where this Poroshenko, etc., came into power. So it could very well be that tomorrow a Bangladesh, somewhere down the line, a Bangladesh protest, a Bangladesh color revolution / protest might start against Sheikh Hasina, who's a seated government. She is, अगर ये अभी जनवरी है, तुम जाने तुम जून या जुलाई का या किसी भी टाइम का, आफ्टर इंडियन इलेक्शन रिजल्ट्स आर अनाउंस्ड, अक्टूबर नवंबर कभी भी. So you've got a very recently elected Sheikh Hasina government with Sheikh Hasina as its leader, which is seated in Bangladesh, and you've got this thousands and thousands of people who are rising in protest against a seated government. That could be, मतलब that could be United States' ये तो fail हो गया probably this election. That could be United States' second chance or second attempt, second attempt to make a comeback. Keeping the fact in mind that you've got a BJP which has come back. If BJP doesn't come back in India, then probably I won't be looking at so seriously at a possible color revolution in Bangladesh.
क्योंकि मेरे को आपने जो दो तीन चीज बोली उसके अंदर एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग सी 2+2 टाइप कुछ निकला है बाहर, व्हिच इज द फैक्टर दैट देखो पहले लोगों ने पाकिस्तान को बनाया था टू काइंड ऑफ, एंड हमने वी हैव डन अ ब्यूटीफुल पॉडकास्ट ऑन दिस, हु रिक्वायर्ड पाकिस्तान. आई थिंक आवर फर्स्ट पॉडकास्ट वाज दैट
फर्स्ट पॉडकास्ट.
हाँ, तो उन्होंने ये बनाया था तो टू काइंड ऑफ कीप अ ट्रैक ऑफ रशिया, ईरान, इधर उधर थोड़ा सा, एंड ऊपर से ऑब्वियसली भारत को जब भी whenever you want to chabi ghumao India, you can do that.
Yeah.
Will Bangladesh become the next Pakistan? The question why am I asking you this is because जो एक जियो स्ट्रेटेजिक पर्पस आगे जाके आएगा, पहले रशिया था, रशिया अभी नहीं है इतना, they need to go towards China. और जो भी कह लो, बांग्लादेश के साथ दे कैन डू क्वाइट अ बिट ऑफ नॉनसेंस विद इन चाइना ऑल्सो। आपको तो
Yeah,
तंग कर ही सकते हैं, बट वो चाइना को भी काफी परेशान कर सकते हैं वहां से। तो
yeah.
व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट दैट?
I think this is a loaded question, and I think you are on the right track. There is one reason. Given the kind of discussion that we've been having so far over the past 10, 15 minutes, the primacy of Pakistan during the 60s to the 90s and afterwards, and now suddenly looking at the restive region of India, so on and so forth, and BJP coming to power time and time again, and Biden not getting along with BJP or Modi for whatever reason, they pushing Bangladesh probably. There is another thing which is very internal to Bangladesh. I don't know if you've noticed, both Sheikh Hasina and Khaleda Zia, they don't have a succession structure in place.
कुछ नहीं है, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम
कुछ
सेइंग।
नहीं है. So there is a time that is going to come in the future where there would be a political vacuum.
कितना टाइम और 20 साल चल जाएगी, उससे ज्यादा क्या? हाउ लॉन्ग विल शी
बहुत
लास्ट?
बहुत ज्यादा से ज्यादा 20 साल, उतना भी शायद नहीं चलेंगे, because Khaleda Zia is not well and she is under house arrest and they are denying her treatment and they are not even letting her get out of the country to go get treated, medically treated. So tomorrow if something happens to her, you have a BNP with there is a complete political power vacuum. If something happens to Hasina, you would also have a power vacuum. Hasina ka kya hai? Hasina has managed to keep the Islamists, the radical Islamist parties and the supporters and everybody under control, some sort of control, some semblance
या
of control. I
या
wouldn't say
या
she's completely secular, but she has managed. Khaleda Zia mein wo hai nahi. The fact is there's been a turnaround in Bangladesh in the past 20, 25 years where their anti-Pakistan stance has completely disappeared and now they are very pro-Pakistan and anti-India. This kind of sentiment, for this kind of sentiment to sustain, you need a huge amount of support in the of this kind of an idea in the population there. So we can safely assume that you've got a majority of population in Bangladesh who are naturally pro-Pakistan and anti-India to a different degree. Somebody could be a 90% anti-India, somebody could be a 50% anti-India. That's debatable. So you have a political vacuum across both sides of the Bangladesh political spectrum. You've got so many radical parties that have been there, that have been sheltered across by both the parties and that have been lying in the wait, waiting for their chance. You've got a huge amount of population which harbors pro-Pakistan sentiments. What else do you expect? This is a ticking time bomb. This could very well be a Pakistan if not handled properly.
एंड इससे तो जिस जगह पे, आई मीन द एरिया दैट वी वांट टू स्ट्रीमलाइन राइट नाउ, दिस विल रियली हर्ट अस इन द रॉन्ग प्लेस.
This will really hurt that area, and this would hurt China as well. This would hurt
Hmm.
China as well. And Myanmar mein China has had a lot of things right. Myanmar mein China is off late having a couple of things wrong where
Fact.
हाँ उसका वो जो रूट है उसमें कुछ चक्कर तो चल रहा है.
नहीं, बट ये जो
That
तीन तीन वो जो अभी सेक्शंस आए हैं ना, द सैगांग, चिन एंड आई कीप फॉरगेटिंग द थर्ड वन, these three layers that have come in northern Myanmar, इन्होंने तो चाइना को पूरी तरह कट कर दिया है. And they've
yeah,
actually deported 40,000 Chinese fraudsters from there. तो ये तो पूरा उनका गेम फ्लिप हो रहा है उधर पे.
yeah, and like it or not, I mean, this is, I don't know, this is so complex. This has become so complex because Myanmar का जहां तक सवाल है, United States has butted in once again.
Hmm.
Okay, so till about yesterday, Aung San Suu Kyi was their choice of leader. वो क्या बोलते हैं, Nobel Prize वही सब कुछ मिल गया. The moment she became a little bit nationalist, उसको हटाया. Now they have the government. They were pretty okay with the government. And then suddenly, the moment this Rohingya thing started, the United States has got a problem with them, with the current government, Napido government, which is there in power. Now they want to push their way in, and United States wanting to push its way in can only mean one thing, that ये जो anti-government forces है, उसको ये promote करेंगे. And the anti-government forces are only creating this kind of a wedge between Myanmar and China का business. Okay.
That's correct.
Now, so on the other hand, when it comes to, so there in Myanmar, you have a clash of interest of United States and China. Yeah. On the other hand, if you look at India, there is no clash of interest of America and China. Both of them want India to sort of, be subverted, be a below par performer, be their tugboat, whatever you call that, be their vassal state, whatever you call that. There's absolute convergence of interest when it comes to India. This would
Yes.
probably take us to another topic, लेकिन उसको लेके हम 2 मिनट बाद भी बात कर सकते हैं. Why is India's rise sort of seemingly
Such a problem.
for everyone, yeah,
Everyone.
for everyone, excepting probably Russia. Today it is a problem for everyone. कोई बोल रहा है, कोई नहीं बोल रहा है. It's almost like वो बचपन में कहानी सुना था बचपन में कि there are 15 people who found out a 2 feet by 2 feet flat piece of land, उसको थोड़ा सा साफ किया है, and this 15 people, old ancient people, fighting amongst themselves कि who's gonna dump his meat on that ground and eat from there. Okay. So suddenly there's one guy who walks in from somewhere. He's got a banana leaf in his hand, and he says, "Guys, I've got a banana leaf. This is a cleaner option. Let us place it anywhere in the ground, and we can dump our meat and we can eat from there." So this 15 people stopped squabbling and looked at him for a second. This is the stage where United States and Israel and EU and everybody is at. India is that guy that has walked with a piece of banana leaf saying, "Ki boss, there are better ways of, maintaining international relationship with each other. Let's try it out." Because this power structure that you've been seeing is been there for the last, I don't know how many hundreds of years. You had a Spanish model, which was on loot and access and control. You had an English colonial model, which was on loot and access and control. You've got a US model, which is on access and control. You got a Chinese model. No matter what they say, वो BRI बोले, कुछ भी बोले, there is basically, there used to be debt trapping. Well, thanks to internet that people got to know about it more, sooner than it would have. Yeah, sooner than it would have usually taken the rest of the world to know. So theirs is also access and control. कि भाई territory का access लेंगे और control करेंगे. It is only India today that is coming up and saying कि boss, there could be a win-win. You play on your plus points, I play on my plus points. Wherever there is a need, let us exchange, let us barter, let us trade, and maintain free and fair relationship between nation states. Now, ये model अगर होता है click, तो the problem is that पिछले 400 साल से set किया हुआ structure is going to get dismantled. Now, China doesn't want that structure to get dismantled. United States would never want that structure to get dismantled, because these are the countries that have been exploiting that, and these countries have emerged on top of that using that kind of a structure. Now, if you suddenly have an India way, which Jaishankar keeps saying, and we are absolutely open, that is why people probably don't manage to see, because everybody is trying to look at that balance of power and access and control wala game, which India is probably not playing as of now, and I don't think India is going to want to play that. अब वो बनाना लीफ लेके वो आदमी आ गया कि भाई यहाँ पे तुम अपना मीट रखो और यहाँ से खाओ. Most people have looked up for 5 seconds and they are trying to register. Few people are saying, अच्छा तू ये अपना एक किसी के पीछे था ना, तू अभी हम लोग को ज्ञान देने के लिए आ गया है. That is EU. कि तू कभी रशिया के पीछे, कभी अंकल के पीछे था, तू अभी कहां से बनाना लीफ जुगाड़ करके आ गया और अपने को ज्ञान दे रहा है. This explains the condescending attitude of EU. Calling in Jaishankar and asking questions, आपको ये नहीं करना चाहिए, फलाना नहीं करना चाहिए. Only the United States and China, amongst those 15 people who are squabbling, have realized that if we take this banana leaf wala approach, then we are doomed. So that is the point on the side that I wanted to make. That is why, even though, bolo, please.
No, please finish kar lo.
So that is the point that I wanted to make, that even though there are conflicts of interest of United States and China across different sections of the world, which includes Taiwan, which includes Myanmar, which includes areas of the South China Sea, and so on and so forth, India is one area where there's absolutely no conflict. There's absolute convergence. Okay.
I mean, उस पे थोड़ी बात करते हैं. मैं बोलता हूँ ना, साइनो लेफ्टिस्ट वहाबी अलायंस, ये पिछली बार भी बोला,
उसमें
मैं इस बार भी बोल रहा हूँ।
उसमें एंग्लो भी जुड़ लो।
वो लेफ्टिस्ट वही है ना,
अच्छा, वो
लेफ्टिस्ट वही है,
लेफ्टिस्ट एंग्लो। अच्छा
वो
अच्छा
फिर
अच्छा।
ब्रैकेट में आ जाता है ना उसके अंदर ही,
हाँ हाँ।
वही है। बट मैं आपसे ये
या
पूछ रहा हूँ, यू नो, द प्रॉब्लम दैट आई एम एक्चुअली दिस थिंग, आई एम एक्चुअली contending with, आपने एक सक्सेशन का बोला, which is very very important that we need to understand this, कि भाई उसका ये दिस इज नॉट अ प्योर डेमोक्रेसी, यहाँ पर दिस इज, इफ आई मे, अ सक्सेशनिस्ट डेमोक्रेसी। ठीक है, वो इलेक्ट करते हैं, किसी को इलेक्ट करेंगे तो उसके आगे वो सक्सेशन बैठा के जाएगी, वो जो भी है। एक तो वो बहुत बड़ा इशू है। दूसरा क्या है, बांग्लादेश के अंदर से अभी वी बीन एबल टू कंट्रोल बांग्लादेश टू अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट, कि इलीगल माइग्रेशन थोड़ा कम हो गया अभी, राइट? इट इज रिड्यूस टू व्हाट इट वाज टू नाउ, देयर इज अ बिग डिफरेंस। रोहिंग्यास का थोड़ा सा काम चल रहा है, सो देयर वी नीड बांग्लादेश टू बी स्ट्रेट सो दैट वी कैन एक्चुअली डू व्हाटएवर अभी हम लोग जो कर रहे हैं, सीए, एनआरसी, ऑल दैट स्टफ जो होना है उस रीजन के अंदर। रोहिंग्यास तो अभी मतलब आई थिंक 150,000 तो हमने निकाले हैं, और कोई एज पर लास्ट रिपोर्ट आई रेड व्हाट वाज अबाउट 250,000 अभी भी हैं, एंड दे स्प्रेड ऑल अराउंड द प्लेस। कोई 20,000 इधर हैं,
ऑल
कोई
अराउंड।
20,000 उधर हैं, सब इधर उधर बैठे
या
हुए हैं। तो बांग्लादेश के बिना वी कैन नॉट डू दिस,
नो
हम नहीं कर पाएंगे।
नो।
व्हाट डू यू थिंक भारत इज डूइंग टू काइंड ऑफ इंश्योर दैट शी विंस?
What Bharat is doing to ensure that Hasina wins, I really don't know if Bharat is doing anything ethically. Bharat holds the view that it should do anything to help somebody win. That would mean intervening in their election
या
process.
दैट्स व्हाई वी से अब की बार ट्रम्प की सरकार एंड ट्रम्प वन ना।
हाँ. So Bharat, it is of course in India's interest. It is of course in Bharat's interest that Sheikh Hasina win, because we need a stable Bangladeshi government, because we've got so many projects coming up. That's a sensitive area. And about Bangladeshi infiltration, thanks to the left front government which was there in West Bengal, Bangladesh से भी तो उतना interest नहीं था जितना इन लोगों को interest था वहां से लाके आदमी को बिठाना.
इधर भी
So
बिठाना।
हाँ, so the less said about it the better. आज उसका इंसिडेंटली उन लोग का रैली चल रहा है कहीं कलकत्ता में, वो ब्रिगेड पैरेड ग्राउंड में DYFI का. Okay, so it was more in their interest to get the Bangladeshis to come across and settle in India. I don't know whether the Bangladeshis themselves were, waiting at the border, waiting at the gates to run into India, because India was a great country during that time. 70s, mein India was hardly a great country. It was like trying to just recover. So, but yeah, coming back to where we are today, India has, in fact, Bangladesh also has had quite a good time as far as Hasina's governance is concerned. There's been stability, there's been growth, it has been recognized across different sections of the world as far as its economic growth and development is concerned, as far as its industrial prowess is concerned. Bangladesh तो बहुत अच्छा कर रहा था. The problem is BNP का, भैया opposition का ऐसा होता है ना कि whenever you've got somebody who's an outsider, if you've got somebody, which in this case is US, ये उसका नाम क्या, पीटर हैश, चार्ली हैश, क्या नाम है, I keep forgetting. Who's this guy? This
पीटर हॉस
पीटर हास. पीटर हास को बांग्लादेश,
रिचर्ड हॉस का भाई है ना वो।
अच्छा हाँ, तो पीटर हास को ये बीएनपी का कोई pretty leader somewhere very high up in the top is now started considering him to be the god. He's saying that, quote unquote, he said that, this guy Peter Has is like a god to us. मेरे को तो लगता नहीं यूएस को कभी पाकिस्तान ने भी इतना सम्मान देके बात की कोई यूएस डिप्लोमेट को. So now what has happened is, now that you've got somebody who's started taking interest in your country's affair, a section of these people have suddenly forgotten about all this growth and development that Bangladesh has had over the past 10-15 years. They have suddenly started, and it is also in the interest of people like this BNP guy who is suddenly considering Peter Haas to be his god, कि यार इसको अभी politically exploit करे. And the irony of the whole thing is that, you might topple a government, you might see to it that probably Sheikh Hasina doesn't win, or even if she wins, she doesn't stay in power. But then what happens to your country? It happens like what happened to Libya. There was a point in time when Gaddafi was in power, and I was interacting with a Libyan, and the Libyan, you know what he said? what was his pet peeve against Muammar Gaddafi? His pet
Hmm.
peeve was, I drive a Honda Accord, I want to drive a BMW, Gaddafi won't let me, so he needs to go. Look at what has happened to Libya now. I have that mail with me. He writes to me saying, I drive a Honda, I want to drive a BMW with this American intervention. I mean, how can people be so stupid? With this American intervention, there'll be peace and glory and everything. Gaddafi will go and I'll get my BMW. I'm sure he's gotten his BMW now. So that could happen in Bangladesh. And so while a section of people who are politically motivated are kind of constantly इसको अंदर से public को pin मारे जा रहा है कि हाँ, you don't have democracy, you don't have free and fair election, your netas are being put into jail and so on and so forth. यार नेता किस काम के? अगर कल आ भी गए तो what is going to happen to all of these things? This growth, this development, this industry, this kind of a setup. You are a good trading partner of China. You are a good trading partner of United States. You've got money coming in from outside your country. Remittances coming in. What happens to all of that? I forget about the damage that India probably is going to go through. Let's think about the damage that could happen to Bangladesh. And there is a fair chance of that damage happening to Bangladesh if something happens.
Because see, उस रीजन में आई मीन दीदी जो कर रही है वो तो अलग ही है, बट you have Hemanta Biswa Sarma who's doing a strong job cleaning
Yeah,
up Assam.
yeah,
हाँ,
he's
Assam
doing.
literally एक टाइम पे बहुत खराब हो गया था, एंड अगर आप देखो जो सेंटर से इफेक्ट वो इम्पैक्ट ही आया है, ये जो अभी उल्फा के साथ डील हुई है आपकी, ये सब हुआ है, उससे क्या होता है, एक स्टेबिलिटी आ जाती है और ये अपॉर्चुनिटी जो होती है ना ट्रैफिकिंग की वो कम हो जाती है. So you may not directly crack down on immigration and this and that, but when you're reducing the opportunity for any stupid things to happen, वो अपने आप ही reduce हो जाता है. And
Yeah,
that's a
actually.
thing that I'm worried about, because उस एरिया से ड्रग्स और ये सब बहुत आता है. Let's come to the point that we were trying to discuss is ये जो चाइना और यूएसए का एक जो I won't say गुट है, but I don't think they are like Joe Biden and Xi Jinping बात कर रहे हैं, यार मोदी को कैसे मारना है, वो ऐसा तो नहीं है. बट
Yeah.
एक जो कोई एक्शन ले रहा है, the other is taking advantage of that. There is no question of that. How do you see that? Because that to me is very dangerous. क्योंकि आप देखो चाइनीज को फर्क नहीं पड़ता, वहां पर इस्लामिस्ट है जो मर्जी आए. So
देखो, हाँ बोलो बोलो, finish the question first.
नहीं, that's all. What do you think? I mean,
that's worrisome. That's what I'm saying. That the first point is, the first question that I have in my mind. तुम तो बोल रहे थे कि probably not so strong a bond is not something that these two share, China and United States share. But the first thing, and I wrote this a couple of months back, that given United States' stance across different issues, it really makes me wonder about whether they're serious about taking on China at all in the first place. Vivek Ramaswamy, who's like fighting strong and who's अगर जीत जाए तो बहुत अच्छा होगा, लेकिन पता नहीं, शायद नहीं जीतेंगे. यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स का प्रेसिडेंट कभी बन नहीं पाएंगे, बिकॉज हाँ
बन जाएगा बट कभी नहीं.
उसको आने नहीं देगा. हाँ, फ्यूचर में भी बने तो बहुत अच्छी बात है आदि, लेकिन पता नहीं. So anyway, now Vivek Ramaswamy also holds the same opinion that half of United States and the Democratic Party is within the pockets of China. Yeah. That is one reason. So agar if your ruling party is in the pocket of China, and you've got a Hunter Biden who's in the pocket of, who is in Chinese pocket, and you've got so many big companies which are in Chinese pocket, and you've got Larry Fink and all raring to put their BlackRock and State Street inside China, you would naturally have a United States which would be very, they wouldn't be interested at all to kind of get into a head-to-head with China.
ये यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा डिफरेंशिएशन मैं आपसे बोलना चाहूंगा कि लैरी फिंक तो भाग रहा है, स्टेट स्ट्रीट भी भाग रहा है, वैनगार्ड ने तो बंद कर दिया, कहता भैया मैं चला गया.
But given a chance, they would want to get back. It's a big market, boss, Aadi.
मार्केट तो
It's
बहुत
a
है,
big
देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन।
market. It's a big market. So given a chance, if they have it their way, you think they're gonna leave China market? They're not. And they are they have shut shop and they have disappeared probably because they have had a difference of opinion on as far as their profit sharing and all is concerned with the CCP. कल को
Yes,
अगर सीसीपी बोलते हैं कि भाई ठीक है तुमको 10% ज्यादा चाहिए चलो ले लो फॉर वॉट एवर रीजन एंड वॉट एवर
ये मानते हैं ना,
यू नो
वो
भागते दौड़ते
शी
आ
जिनपिंग,
जाएंगे चाइना में।
नहीं, शी जिनपिंग ने बोला ना जब ये यूएसए गया था, इसने बोला वी विल क्रिएट वर्किंग एनवायरनमेंट एंड ये वो एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ।
Yeah, वही बोल रहा हूँ कि दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू लीव एंड दैट इज वेयर दिस थिंग इज सी at the base of it or at the apex of it there is convergence because United States
दैट्स द पॉइंट।
का जो या यूएस का जो ब्यूरोक्रेटिक apparatus है जिसको हम लोग डीप स्टेट बोलते हैं उसका भी जो विजन है और उसका जो modus operandi है which is like access and control. China's modus operandi is the same which is access and control. So there is bound to be overlapping. This is one world यार, घूम फिर के कुछ ना कुछ तो मिलने ही वाला है. There is bound to be
बहुत
overlapping of
इंपॉर्टेंट चीज बोली,
ideology.
यू सेड अ
एंड
वेरी
यहाँ पे
इंपॉर्टेंट।
यहाँ पे इंडिया का अप्रोच इज अ कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट अप्रोच दैट वी आर ट्राइंग टू क्रिएट। हाँ, पुराना सिविलाइजेशनल वाला अप्रोच अपना जो सनातन सिविलाइजेशन है जो इंडिक कल्चर है उसका वाला अप्रोच लेके वी आर ट्राइंग टू क्रिएट समथिंग वेयर वी ट्रीट ईच एंड एवरी नेशन स्टेट, give them the due respect that they have, look into the pluses that you have, look into the minuses that we have, try to trade, try to create that efficient system where you also survive and thrive and we also survive and thrive. People find it extremely difficult to accept it on the face value. Why? क्योंकि ऐसा तो हुआ ही नहीं पिछले 200-400 साल से। I won't blame them. Yeah. I won't blame. Every structure, every institution, every organization has been developed based on this ideology, based on this model of access and control. Ab agar
Correct.
suddenly you bring that banana leaf and you say, there's this banana leaf which is healthy and there is a plantation behind, आगे भी हम लोग को वहां से leaves मिलेंगे and we can always plant some extra banana plants to get a never-ending supply of banana leaves. People will think कि यार ये जो ग्राउंड तैयार किया था इसका क्या होगा। So that's where United States and China का convergence comes in,
No,
and that
see,
is what I think will. Yeah, please.
आप जो बोल रहे हो बड़ा सिग्निफिकेंट है, क्योंकि एक तरफ वो देखो और दूसरी तरफ आप ये भी देखो कि हमारे कंट्री के अंदर बॉर्डर स्टेट्स में स्पेशली वीव गॉट, I won't say non-nationalistic government, that's too far and that's too propagandized word, but governments that are more inclined कि भाई मैं अपनी कुर्सी पकड़ के बैठ जाऊं किसी तरह से, and they have taken decisions, they've stood by things which उनको पता है वो गलत है। If you look at असम में पहले क्या हुआ था, आज बंगाल में जो हो रहा है, पंजाब में करने की कोशिश करी है, काफी हद खराब हुआ है अभी वहां पर साफ सफाई थोड़ी थोड़ी धीरे धीरे करके, इट इज स्टार्टिंग अप। व्हाट हैपेंड इन इन लक्षद्वीप एंड केरला, ठीक है। तो व्हाट आई फाइंड इज कि ये जो एक ओल्ड स्ट्रक्चर भारत का भी, एक वो जो ओल्ड लेफ्टिस्ट स्ट्रक्चर जिन जिन जगहों पे है अभी भी, दैट इज काइंड ऑफ कहीं ना कहीं स्टिल अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ द लेफ्टिस्ट गुरु सिटिंग इन बोथ अमेरिका एंड चाइना। एंड ये जो फिर रीजनल हमको चीजें होती हैं, स्पेशली बांग्लादेश में अगर कुछ हो जाए आपको, म्यांमार में हो जाए, these are vulnerable areas, इससे आपको बड़ा इम्पैक्ट होता है। आई बिलीव जब तक भारत का इंटरनल सेटिंग, आई एम नॉट सेइंग ऑल ऑफ देम नीड्स टू वोट फॉर बीजेपी और नो नो, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट, आई एम सेइंग कोई रीजनल पार्टी हु इज नेशनलिस्टिक, राइट। वी हैव रीजनल पार्टीज इन दीज वेरी क्रिटिकल स्टेट जो नेशनलिस्टिक नहीं है,
बिल्कुल भी नहीं है।
तो ये मेरे को एक प्रॉब्लम दिखती है। एंड तभी हमारा जो नेबरहुड है वो हमारे साथ गेम खेल पाता है, नॉट इंटेंशनली और इंटेंशनली, वो अलग, हमको इम्पैक्ट होता है वहां पर।
एंड
तो आपका क्या रहेगा इसमें?
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली, एंड इसी में हम लोग एक ऐसा प्रॉब्लमेटिक सिचुएशन में खड़े हैं कि देखो यहाँ पे द रीजनल पार्टीज आर absolutely confined to their own states or to their own kind of people for whatever reason. could be that is exactly how the Anglo Christian masters of the world wanted once they left the country
Yeah.
and they made the transfer of power. Could be that is how they sort of groomed the Congress party to like kind of take this country ahead, so that this kind of a
ऐसे ही चलता
unification,
रहे।
so to speak, never happens. So unification hua bol ke you've got this entire bloody thing of Indianness, which is Indic identity, which is coming in, which is a complete grassroots movement, by the way. You know, your YouTube channel, and there are so many other YouTube channels which have got millions of viewership, which is not taken even a single paisa from the government. This is an organic movement, this YouTube revolution that has happened. They were scared of probably this. Okay, maybe they had not envisioned the internet to come in, but they were scared of people getting together, which is what is happening in virtually through these platforms. And those parties were probably primed to keep it that way. अब प्रॉब्लम ये आ गया है कि as though I am talking a slightly different from what you are saying, accepting what you have said, and I'm building on that अभी प्रॉब्लम ये आ गया कि तुम्हारे और मेरे जैसे आदमी को the moment we talk about nationalistic sense of nationalism, Indic identity, we are equated with from being the BJP
हाँ.
camp. Now, if you had a couple of other parties like BJP, but regional, as you said, a regional party with a nationalistic outlook, then things would have been much more vibrant. Things would have been much more vibrant, things would have been much more dynamic. Ideas would probably have been, more and more different kinds of colorful ideas would have come up, all from different angles, but all converging towards this nationalistic thing of India, national identity and all. So you could have been a supporter of a different regional party with a nationalist outlook, and I could have been a supporter of a different regional party with a national outlook.
Doesn't
Ideally
matter.
speaking, हाँ, होता तो ऐसा बहुत अच्छा होता, और ऐसा आई एम होपफुल कि आगे भी जाके हो सकता है. आई डोंट नो.
इस क्लियर एग्जांपल है नवीन पटनायक जी ओडिशा में, नेशनलिस्टिक, बट ही इज नॉट बीजेपी
ना.
ठीक है, तो मेरे को वही चक्कर है कि स्पेशली द एरिया अराउंड बांग्लादेश, वहां पर दिस इज अ वेरी डेंजरस एरिया, बिकॉज अगर हम कहीं से ठीक से ना कर पाए इसको, तो इट्स गोना बिकम अ प्रॉब्लम.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is an area where you probably need to, I mean, with all due respect to democracy, this is an area where you probably need to put aside the aspect of democracy for a while, because it concerns your internal security. अब आप उसको कितना किलोमीटर उसमें नहीं करेंगे या कॉरिडोर बिठाएंगे, दैट इज योर कॉल, व्हिच इज यू सपोज टू टेक. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द गवर्नमेंट, बट दिस इज योर इंटरनल डोमेस्टिक सिक्योरिटी. सो यू हैव टू काइंड ऑफ cordon off this entire area till the time things settle down, till the time things are normal and you've got your trade corridors and trade route in place, and both internally and externally things settle down. The thing what makes me tired is what Adi, this model that I was talking about of this United States and Japan and China and even Russia for that reason model, key expansion, access and control. Russia to abhi thoda kam ho gaya, is that this game is never ending. This game doesn't end. It is tiring. You've got to end it sometime and you've got to start thinking afresh, or you've got to take a different approach. ऐसे नहीं चल सकता है यार. 300-400 साल चल लिए बहुत है. Probably I am not sure, probably I am not enlightened enough, and this is the way humans are supposed to evolve, and this is sort of survival
Probably.
of the fittest which is going on. कुछ भी हो भी सकता है, but it gets tiring at one point in time. Even if you, because we were talking about securing, insulating the area surrounding Bangladesh, should something happen to Bangladesh tomorrow or the day after, कि उसको तुम insulate करो, उसको तुम safe करो, उसको तुम secure करो, internally खुद को secure करो. The next question is, for how long? Bangladesh could be, if, I mean, God forbid, if something happens, Bangladesh could remain boiling for the next 50 years, like 50. Kashmir, like Pakistan. Like Pakistan has been, I don't know, boiling for 70-75 years. There's still no signs of stopping. So this game is never end.
ये चीज हमको थोड़ी कंसिडर करनी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि जो भी ग्रेट पावर्स हैं दुनिया की, अगर आप आज भी देख लो, उनके बॉर्डर्स के आसपास आग आग लगी हुई है यार।
एंड
यूएस का भी अगर
यूरेशिया
आप
में
यूएस की भी देख लो ना, लेट्स लुक एट यूएसए इटसेल्फ। ठीक है, जो सुपर पावर है दुनिया की, सोल सुपर पावर एज इट्स कॉल्ड, अभी के लिए ताज बना देते हैं उसको, बट लुक एट इट्स बॉर्डर्स। इट्स गॉट प्रॉब्लम्स इन हाइती, ठीक है, इट्स गॉट प्रॉब्लम्स इन पोर्टोरिको, इट्स गॉट प्रॉब्लम्स इन मेक्सिको। मेक्सिको तो धनाधन बंदे डाल रहे हैं अंदर,
सब डाल रहे हैं,
ठीक है।
एवरीवन's walking
मेक्सिको
in, yeah.
मेक्सिको इज सपोज टू बी द यूएसएस नेक्स्ट इंडस्ट्रियल बेस, लेकिन इंडस्ट्रियल बेस के साथ साथ वो क्या, वो व्हाट्स द ड्रग कॉल्ड, फेंटेनिल, धनाधन
Fentanyl,
इनसाइड।
fentanyl,
सो यू
yeah.
टेल मी, आई मीन, इफ यू लुक एट इट रियलिस्टिकली, हम लोग एक एक वो डालते हैं ना कि अगर फॉर अ कंट्री टू बिकम अ सुपर पावर, उसका नेबरहुड उसकी जेब में होना चाहिए। फेयर इनफ, आपका लॉ बड़ा अच्छा है, बट मेरे को एक कंट्री ऐसा देखना है जिसका नेबरहुड उसकी जेब में है एक्चुअली।
फिर भी यूएसए का नेबरहुड थोड़ा सा अच्छा है। इफ यू लुक
थोड़ा
एट
सा,
रशिया,
अब
थोड़ा
वो
सा अच्छा है,
परसेप्शन की
थोड़ा
बात
सा,
है।
थोड़ा सा अच्छा। देखो, उसका कनाडा में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। अच्छा, इट इट शेयर्स बॉर्डर्स विद टू कंट्रीज,
हाँ,
टेक्निकली स्पीकिंग, वन
दो
इज
में से एक में
मैक्सिको, वन इज
प्रॉब्लम है
कनाडा।
आपको।
और मेक्सिको में प्रॉब्लम है बस आदि एक कारण के लिए, बिकॉज द डेमोक्रेट पार्टी इज इन नीड ऑफ वोटर्स।
हाँ,
क्योंकि पढ़ा लिखा कोई आदमी वो लोग के लिए वोट नहीं करेंगे। नाउ दे हैव गॉन द सीपीआईएम वे। ये बांग्लादेश से लोग लाता था वोट बैंक के लिए, अभी ये लोग मेक्सिको से, मतलब अगेन व्हाट बंगाल थिंक्स टुडे द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड थिंक्स टुमारो। उसने 50 साल पहले ज्योति बाबू जो करके गया, आज 70 साल के बाद जो बाइडेन कर रहा है, वो भी जेबी, ये भी जेबी। सो एनीवे, तो मेक्सिको से लोग ला रहे हैं ये क्या बोलते हैं इसको, डेमोक्रेट पार्टी को वोट कराने के लिए। बट अदरवाइज इफ यू लुक एट इट, United States wanted to secure its own backyard, and it faced problems there. They were good. They had a booming business at one point in time, and then gradually people started turning against them, which is natural, a rule of law, so to say. But compared to a Russia, compared to even Israel, को मैं सुपर पावर नहीं पकड़ता हूँ, but फिर भी ठीक है, it's a powerful country
ग्रेट पावर।
compared to, हाँ, compared to Israel, compared to Russia, compared to Iran, compared to China, compared to India, US is much better, much better.
That's why they're more powerful.
Ah, and they are always going to take advantage of the geographical isolation. Till the time वो that one 9/11 happened, and they are so insulated, and they are so they are so क्या बोलते हैं उसको, docile बन गया है, in confidence of the insulation, that one 9/11 happens, the entire country comes to a standstill.
Yeah, absolutely. ये मतलब this been a good discussion. I must say, बांग्लादेश तो हमने कवर किया, बट हमने जो एक दो फिनोमिनन कवर करे हैं with regards to existence of countries, and जो हमारा बॉर्डर्स का जो conundrum में अगर वर्ड यूज करूं, इट्स वेरी
Yeah,
इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस। क्योंकि हम लोग गाली वाली दे देते हैं कि ये वो नहीं कर रहा, वो ये नहीं कर रहा। दिस इज अ नेचुरल फिनोमिनन। लो प्रेशर से हाई प्रेशर से लो प्रेशर, दैट द मूवमेंट विल ऑलवेज बी देयर।
yeah.
द पॉइंट इज हाउ यू कैन कंट्रोल इट एंड हाउ यू कैन वर्क टुवर्ड्स इट। आपके एडवांटेज के लिए आप उसको कैसे यूज कर सकते हो। सो लेट्स गेट इनटू सम क्वेश्चंस गाइस। सबसे मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, प्लीज लाइक दिस वीडियो, सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल, स्प्रेड द वर्ड अबाउट डेफ टॉक्स। आप लोग मेरी
Adi, are you there? I think I've lost you.
All right. The first question we will ask is JBJP. Thank you so much, brother. He says decline in Hindu percentage population percentage of West Bengal and Assam, Bangladesh post 1971.
Yeah, which is true. I don't know so much about Assam, but Bangladesh definitely yes. And West Bengal, again, officially there's been no census that has taken place, but one can assume that yeah, there's been um, a percentage of decline. Yeah. And we have got the entire middle, not the entire middle class, substantial chunk of middle class amongst Bengali that have shifted, Bengalis that have shifted to Pune and Hyderabad and Bangalore and all these places. So yes, there's been a drain out of people. There's been a drain. How much percentage of Hindus vis-a-vis how much percent of other religion? I think the best thing would be to wait for the census to happen if it ever happens. अच्छा आदि census क्यों नहीं हो रहा यार? Any idea?
सिंपल स्ट्रेट, इट्स टू पॉलिटिसाइज्ड यार. करोगे तो आपको पता है कास्ट ये वो. आई डोंट थिंक दे वांट टू ब्रिंग आउट दैट कास्ट फैक्टर ऑफ इट.
बट डेमोग्राफी को तो पता करना चाहिए तुमको.
यू हैव टू. आई डोंट डिनाई दैट फैक्ट
तो
मेरे हिसाब
कास्ट
से.
को
बट आई थिंक ये करेंगे सीए के साथ नेक्स्ट नेक्स्ट टर्म में. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम काइंड ऑफ looking at it, because अभी वो notification की बात हो रही है. The minute that thing happens, you can then connect all of this thing all together and just do one census and remove your kachra, this, that, all that stuff can be done. So I guess that's the plan. I'm just speculating right now. मेरे को इतना, I have not really dwelled on that. Yeah, absolutely.
fingers crossed.
My
Yeah.
my legs are also crossed. So Amit Karnik, thank you so much, sir. Regarding Bangladesh, what if Trump comes back to power?
Trump comes back to power. If Trump comes back to power, that will be in November. Bangladesh election to abhi hai. See, if Trump comes back to power, then we'll have to sit again. A Trump or a Vivek Ramaswamy coming to power, or Trump coming back to power, we'll have to sit on our drawing board once again and redraw a lot of plan. Because Trump was probably a not good. Some people consider him to be a disaster for domestic economy. I'll say it was not good for his domestic economy, but Trump was a major success as when it comes to foreign relations.
Yeah.
Trump was the one guy that made a lot of impossible things happen. So if Trump comes to power, yeah, probably, depending on whether US wants to continue with this model of interfering in everybody else's affair or not, would decide whether Bangladesh remains a focal point of their needling, or do they decide to drop that idea.
True. Atul ji, thank you so much. He says Bangladesh next Gaza Strip for India in the next 20 years. Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, could be. That's what I'm saying. That if it spirals out of control, and there's a 50% chance of it spiraling out of control because of the points that we discussed: power vacuum, there's no succession structure, you've got a very radicalized rural population.
Yeah.
You could be, I won't say Gaza or Iraq or whatever, Libya or whatever, but yeah, you could be looking at a persistence, long-running affair which is going to be equivalent or maybe more deadly than Kashmir if not contained properly.
Similar question, Harish ji asked, do you think long-term Bangladesh will be a strategic partner of India, or will it be an adversary?
Again, it depends on the government. It depends on the government, but it's a interesting question. You know, Bangladesh per se. Now here is there. This is where you would need to make a distinction between the Bangladesh as a country and the people living there vis-a-vis the Bangladeshi government. As of now, you've got a government which has got a lot of good things going with India. As of now, you've got a section of Bangladeshi population, which is probably the urban population, which are pretty balanced when it comes to their outlook about India. But you've got a chunk of Bangladeshi who are not very pro-India, who it would be safe to say that they are very pro-Pakistan. So you've got three tiers of Bangladesh in front of you. Whichever tier of Bangladesh is in charge is going to decide how relationship with India is going to be. If it's the rural class and their representation, then it is not going to be pro-India. If it is the current government or the urban class of people and their representative coming to power, they would have good relationship with India.
Yeah. Sabuj, see, 80% of Bangladeshi radical Muslim hate Indian and Bangladeshis Hindus also. These are extremists, have now infiltrated Sheikh Hasina's party too, who hate Hindus and Indians. This is a problem, and I'll add to this question. Let's say if she wins, how much violence are we going to see there?
See, whatever violence you would see would be, that's what I'm saying, that normally there has been violence. There has been pre-poll violence. There has been violence before that. In the past 5-7 years, there's been violence. आज के दिन में BNP का, I think they have got some 40 lakh registered member, out of which probably 20 lakhs have cases pending on them, or a good few lakhs have been put in the prison. So there's been violence. There is going to be violence. Now, there are two things over here. Number one is this violence was not considered by America to be worthy of taking an interest in. Now suddenly United States has now suddenly started taking interest in it, which is one point of worry. The other point of worry is the question which has been put across here, that so far Sheikh Hasina has been, I won't say very successful, but fairly successful in reigning in all those Islamists which are there. Again, come tomorrow, the point that me and Aadi were discussing, if there is a power vacuum, you would have all kind of chota-mota explosions, all parties with their ideologies exploding across the political landscape of the country.
Batraji asks, Arindam sir, weak or small countries are not meant for democracy, as they get destabilized with gunboat diplomacy through its forms its forms have changed. Your views? That's a radical but an interesting thought.
Yeah, exactly the point. Ki boss, if you are a weak country, you cannot be a democracy. If you are a small country, color revolution to honge. That brings me back to this question, to this thing that I've been discussing with Aadi and going back and forth at least thrice. Ki yaar, ये जो सवाल आप पूछ रहे हैं ना बत्रा जी, this is possible. This has been made possible only because of the fact that this world has been structured around the fact of access and control diplomacy. ये balance of power politics and access and control. मान दीजिए, if access and control was not the underlying thought, if Alfred Mackinder and Nicholas Spikeman and Alfred Mahan and Rudolf Kejelen were not born, and all these geopolitical scientists were not there, and things would probably have been. I am not blaming any one of them. I haven't suddenly turned into a kind of a utopian dreamer. I am still the same offensive realist that I consider myself to be. लेकिन ये हुआ है इसीलिए because there's this balance of power politics and access and control politics which is going on. If this were not there, then probably a weaker country, an economically weaker country, could also have survived within its own means, decided its own policies, decided who to do business with, which all resources to to harness, which all resources to import and export. अपना रहो, खुश रहो. लेकिन ये हुआ है ऐसे जैसे कि हम लोग देखते आ रहे हैं. That is the reason why this has happened. But it's true. Yep. Yeah, you are right.
Adinaji, once again, you say that's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republican candidates are rich and don't need much of extra funding, while Democrats are known to take funds from Soros and company. That's true.
That's true. But, off late, we've been so vocal about the Democrats that we are forgetting one thing. Republicans are the biggest known warmongers that have ever been. So you shouldn't forget that.
यार पता नहीं ये सब लोग बोलते हैं, but when you actually look at history, these very Democrats have started more wars.
They have. See, their foreign policy doesn't change.
Yeah.
आज के दिन में भी you've got several Republicans who are completely opposed to the idea of a Donald Trump or a Vivek Ramaswamy coming into power.
Why? Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis.
And DeSantis ने Nikki Haley को लेके बोल रहा हूँ. If you've checked this recent video of Vivek Ramaswamy, he has openly gone and he has said it is not Michelle Obama, it is not somebody from the Democratic Party which is the real threat for America. It is Nikki Haley which is the real threat for America because she's completely running on corporate funds. And Nikki Haley has been silent. वो लोग का जो debate होता है ना, वो debate के वहाँ पे. And he openly questions. He said, "You are a failure. You are a failure till let's say कुछ एक साल बोला 2010 या 2012. Well, suddenly you come.
Bankruptcy.
Yeah. You were a failure, you were dishonored, you were discredited, you were bankrupt, and then suddenly 5 years down, you come into the limelight with some $20 or $30 million. Where did you get this money from? And she was like, पूरा statue हो गया. So, yeah, even Republicans are, मतलब दूध का धुला हुआ कोई नहीं है. हाँ, रिपब्लिकन्स के पास थोड़ा पैसा है और डेमोक्रेट्स के पास, सबके पास पैसा है। डेमोक्रेट्स वो जो बोलता है ना, क्या वो थ्री इडियट्स में, सबके पास होता है, दिखाता नहीं है। सो डेमोक्रेट्स के पास भी है, वो दिखाता नहीं है। रिपब्लिकन्स के पास है, वो दिखा देता है।
चलो डेमोक्रेट्स का मैं एक एग्जांपल दे देता हूँ, आपने एक का दिया, मैं एक का दे देता हूँ. You know the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, na, former House Speaker.
हाँ, yeah.
Her last salary, current salary, was $112,000, 117,000 or something, $170,000 a year. ठीक है, 170,000, decent, solid salary. She's worth $112 million. So some guy did a calculation with her expenses and her. She wears swanky suits, huh? Whatever said and done.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful, very well dressed lady. Some guy did a calculation with all this stuff. She would have taken 300 years to collect that money.
वही ना, सबके पास होता है, दिखाता कोई नहीं है. That dialogue.
Interesting. SN, what is the role of rising narcotics trade in the region play in Bangladesh power dynamics?
Narcotics has always been a very good friend to the subaltern parties and subversive parties and parties who have not political outfits. Let's not say parties, let's say political outfits. Political outfits which are not recognized, non-state actors, political outfit, radical outfit, which are not a part of the mainstream. Narcotics or underground money has always been a very good friend of these parties. So far, probably a Sheikh Hasina or a Awami League probably did not need that kind of that source of money to sustain. Probably the opposition has. Again, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, if we don't manage to control this Myanmar, and I believe, Adi, you've covered a video on this. You've done a video on this also, no? The narcotic angle and the narcotic roots and all. And, you know, Afghanistan come hone ke baad, abhi, this is the area. If we don't manage to control, eventually when there's political vacuum, power vacuum in Bangladesh, narcotics is going to play a major role there. So your question is a little futuristic as far as Bangladesh is concerned.
But
Adi, you would want to add something?
The question is futuristic, but it's absolutely a big concern.
Yeah.
Because there is one industry which is missing in this region, and that is the chemical drug industry. Right? What we have currently is a natural chemical industry. There's a difference. Right? You're not cooking baking soda with old beer and you know what, doing what. You're not doing that. What you're doing is poppy, which is still natural. Usko aap wo karke, whatever you're doing there. Right? So it needs the base ingredient of poppy. The scare that I have is when poppy goes off from here and here, does fentanyl come into the play? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the big question I kind of worry about nowadays. So Atulji, thank you so much. Last question for the day would be, why not destabilize the root cause, USA?
Give us suggestions. We would love to.
Tell us how.
You know, it's difficult. It's difficult because, see, John Mearsheimer or Victor Davis Hansen, I forget, that whoever that gentleman is says one thing, that US is surrounded by two very safe countries and two very big pawns. Geographical isolation is something which still plays a major role in geopolitics, despite the technological advancement, despite so much of things. These can US still be destabilized? Yes. If you look closely at what China has been trying to do, China has been trying to do exactly the same thing with its TikTok videos and with its buying out of Disney and promoting wokeism and infiltrating the Democratic Party of United States. China has been trying to do that. लेकिन China का भी तो हालत खराब है ना. इसीलिए that's where I say that Happy New Year सबका वाट लगा हुआ है. Everybody is stretched. Because this is an unsustainable model. United States has managed to be the top dog because it prints its own dollars. If you are dependent on other people for your financial solvency, you cannot go. I mean, you cannot go on playing this access and control game and trying to destabilize other countries and all indefinitely. यार कहीं तो जाके तो the problem होने ही वाला है, which is what China is realizing. So yeah, we would love to listen from you about ideas of how to destabilize Ankar.
Please write in the comments. Please write in the comments. Secondly, I'll add to this. What you said is very interesting. I'll add to this is the factor that the leave alone the wokeism and this and that and everything aside. What happens is when you have kind of been the top dog for the past 70 years, you're looking for a certain continuity, right? In a new world. Okay, you will say कि भाई ठीक है अभी दुनिया बदल रही है, मैं किस तरह से कंटिन्यूटी करूं. तो एक सेक्शन जो यूएसए का है वो उस तरफ खींच रहा है कि यार चेंज करो, नहीं तो गए हम लोग. दूसरा कहता है यार मैंने 70 साल से राज करा है, मैं क्यों चेंज करूं. That's why you see the break. And जो हम लोग हमेशा बोलते हैं the old deep state versus the new deep state. The fight is just this. They converge. जैसे अरिंदम जी ने बताया था, they converge on places like India, on places like Russia, on places like China. They converge. But generally speaking, they're apart. So that's why you see these kabhi kuch, kabhi kuch, kabhi kuch, kabhi kuch, kabhi kuch, kabhi kuch, kabhi kuch. And Bangladesh is a clear example of that.
Yeah.
It is a country जिसको democratic बनने का शौक है. They are trying to do it. It's not like Pakistan. It doesn't want to be a democracy.
उसको तो कुछ से किसी से कुछ मतलब ही नहीं है.
तो हैप्पी न्यू ईयर बांग्लादेश का हो रहा है, पाकिस्तान बल्ले बल्ले कर रहा है वहां पर. Life is just amazing, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. And मैं तो ये 24 is going to be a cracking year. 2020. So many bloody countries going on poll and पता नहीं क्या क्या होने वाला है.
All we need is an internet.
हाँ क्या?
All we need is an internet connection and a YouTube channel so that we can keep in touch with the world. भाई क्या हो रहा है बताओ.
And adding on to this new deep state and the old deep state again, but Adi, गौर करके देखो, both of them want the same thing. So again there is convergence.
Yes, want तो वही है ना. अगर नया डीप स्टेट को सर्वाइव करना है तो हेजमनी तो यूएस की चाहिए उनको.
चाहिए या
ठीक है.
और ओल्ड डीप स्टेट को वही मांग रहा है कि बस जैसे करते आ रहे हैं वैसे ही करते जाएंगे.
रास्ते अलग हैं.
डॉलर प्रिंट करो और सबको खुजली करो और क्या. For the want of a better phrase.
Better word. रास्ते अलग हैं. Right. The pathways are different.
Right. Yeah.
So, amazing. Thank you so much, Arindam ji, for taking out the time. I'm going to catch you up very soon. क्योंकि आपके लिए एक और टॉपिक मेरे पास है, which kind of the heartland. मेरे को उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा I want to do a review with regards to क्या हो रहा है. So probably in the next week or the week around that we will get you back. क्योंकि heartland के अंदर कल जो जननारायण ने हमारे साथ डिस्कशन किया था, request you to watch that show. Yesterday afternoon ka,
I'll do that.
We spoke about the heartland, and I want you to kind of see what you come up with in that. So let's build a discussion because सारा action इसी जगह पे है. ठीक है. So let's do that. And guys, आप लोगों के लिए please ये show को like जरूर करिएगा, subscribe करिएगा channel को before you leave. And I'll catch up with you guys at 10 o'clock at night with our friend down south called Maldives.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.